Hi, as part of my business profile, Julie has given us the assignment of answering some common interview questions. So let's begin. Question number 1. First, tell me a little bit about yourself. So, hi, my name is Jane. I'm originally from Shijiazhuang, China. I am 22 years old and I immigrated when I was about 7 years old. So basically I've lived almost my entire life here. I am a university fourth year student studying biological sciences and economics minor, as well as I am a second and third year student at NAIT studying at the J.R. Shaw School of Business in management. So question number 2, why did you choose this job or company? I have always had a strong passion for working with others, especially teaching and sharing the knowledge that I have. And so I thought working with Boys and Girls Club and working with children would be a great opportunity to use my skills. I also have a very strong background in working with children. Boys and Girls Club, they have a strong vision and mission in creating stronger communities and working with providing resources for families, as well as creating safe environments for their children and child development. And this is something I believe is very, very important. Question number 3. What experience do you have that qualifies you for this job? So like I said before, I've worked with children for a very, very long time. When I was in high school, I taught Sunday school and I taught children from age 5 all the way till the age of 8. We did Bible stories, we did snacks, we did crafts and activities. Later, I was also a youth counselor and a camp counselor at the Evangelical Fellowship Church. We spent 3 weeks of the summer with high school, junior high, and elementary school students. Often we would take them swimming in the river or down the Pembina River. We did night games. We did testimonies around the campfire, we led activities, we made movies, all in preparation for these 3 weeks at camp. We prepared meals and food. We were basically with these kids 24/7, and often in the evenings we would share stories and we would have prayer and just in generally have a great time. This summer, I've also gotten a little bit more experience working with children. I worked with Boys and Girls Club as a youth counseling coach, senior youth development coach is specifically what the position is called. We worked from kids that were from age 7 all the way up to age 17. We helped them develop skills in academics, creativity, health awareness, the physical activities, and just individual self-awareness. So we did activities and we went on a lot of field trips under staff. We took them to swimming pools all summer. We did science experiments. We made slime. We even had a potluck and shared multiple cultures and dance. It was a great experience and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And so I would love to share my experience again working with Boys and Girls Club in a new position as the business administrator. Question number 4. What is your 5 to 10 year plan and future goals? So what do I expect to do in 5 years? After 5 years, I've already finished my business degree. What I plan to do then is gain more job experience. I plan to travel abroad and work as an intern in um, Shanghai or Hong Kong. I have already had it set up and gotten in contact with several companies, and they would be helping me with the financial part and gaining more experience working with assets and liabilities in order to gauge that financial gap in order to become more thoroughly grounded in the financial world. My ultimate goal is to work in Silicon Valley as a venture capitalist, so I have to have a good understanding of stocks and bonds and basically in general concept of risk. Question number 5. Have you ever had a conflict with a supervisor or coworker? The answer is definitely yes. I have definitely had conflicts with coworkers before. Often it was because of scheduling issues, whether my coworker couldn't take my shift or I couldn't take their shift. Usually our schedule sometimes got us really busy with midterms, exams. So often we would have to pre-sign our shifts because often life got really, really busy. Sometimes we had to switch shifts, so sometimes I covered his, sometimes he covered mine. We would always make sure that at least one of us was there. What I learned from all of this is that communication is very, very important in working with any kind of company or any kind of job. That open line of communication is the most important factor, and in order for everybody to collaborate, it is definitely something that we all need to have, and it's an important skill. Number 6. What are your strengths? What is something you have done that you are proud of? What are my strengths? I believe one of my greatest strengths is my personality. I am a very energetic person. My friends always tell me that I am very encouraging. I'm always very happy-go-lucky. Whenever I walk into the room, I bring an atmosphere of positivity and encouragement. During group projects, I'm often the one in the back saying, like, come on guys, we're almost done, you can do this. So I'm often the cheerleader in my group projects. I'm often the one who works behind the scenes, making sure everything flows properly, and keeping the group together has been one of my greatest strengths. Also, I'm a very ambitious person. As you can see, I'm studying in 2 different schools. I also have the goal of working in Silicon Valley, in somewhere that is very high risk, high competition, and other little things I think that make me very unique is that I'm a very creative individual and often think outside of the box. For example, one of my project management reports was to write on a failed recent project, and the project that I came up with was actually the Death Star from Star Wars. It is indeed a failed project, and it did have very out-of-the-box perspective. I did ask my prof before to ask for permission to write on the subject, and he thoroughly enjoyed reading my paper, and I got a very good score for it. Next question. What is something that you have done that you are proud of? I would have to say one of my greatest, I guess, things that I've been proud of is how well I've handled working with my University of Alberta Dance Club, or UADC. I worked there for 3 years, I worked both as president, VP internal for 2 years, and currently I am working as a TA. So during the time as VP internal, because that was mostly my main position, I had set up instructional board meetings, I had to create agendas, I had to record meeting minutes, I had to coordinate classes and make sure all the supplies were there, coordinate instructors, as well as organize the rest of my TAs. It was definitely a very full-time job and required a lot of my time, but it was definitely something very much worth it, and I'm very glad that I took on the position, took up the challenge, and I've definitely learned a lot of new skills, and it's definitely pushed me a little bit further out of my comfort zone. So what is my greatest weakness? Number 7. I would have to say my greatest weakness, and still probably my greatest weakness, is my public speaking skills. I have never been a very good public speaker. When I first got into business, I almost freaked out on my first presentation. My hands would get all clammy, I would start shaking, I got all stuttery. Yeah, it wasn't a very good situation. Over time, I've gotten a lot of support from both my profs and my friends. One of my friends, Rosie, she introduced me to Toastmasters, as well as my prof. His name is Neil Saxon. He helped me with presentation skills because every 2 weeks we would have to present and give an update on how our presentation or how our project was going. It often included like short presentations on our group bonding activities or other little assignments to make us more comfortable standing in front of people and just generally talking. This is definitely a skill that I'm still learning. I'm trying to find my comfort zone in. It's definitely something I'm growing, but I definitely feel I've improved and come a long way since where I began. But there's still lots of room for improvement, and I'm definitely haven't given up on making my presentation skills just a little bit better. Number 8. Do you prefer to work alone or in a group? Originally, actually, I did have a lot of alone work. I used to work in the labs a lot, and each person in the lab had their own project that they were working on. Each of us had to prep for our own projects. We would do our experiments, write a report on it, do the cleanup afterwards, and then present our results to our supervisor after. So in that sense, it was a very solitary work. There would often be other classmates or people working in the labs. However, your own work was your work, and often there was not very much collaboration. It was one of the reasons that I actually changed faculties, because I realized that got kind of lonely in the lab, and I felt like I was a lot more social individual and definitely needed other people's company. So therefore I changed faculties and I ended up in business, which had a lot of collaboration and a lot of group work. And I believe that group work is a lot more effective. It builds team skills, it builds networking skills. Definitely for sure there's a lot more ideas, and each person's able to express their unique perspective. Obviously groups aren't always perfect. You obviously have sometimes conflicts, opinions, biases, but I believe once you get the results that it is much more worthy as a group than it is as an individual achievement. Number 9. How do you handle a stressful situation? There have been a lot of stressful situations that I've been in. How I handled it is usually I would try my best to plan beforehand, and then if it didn't work, then if I was actually in that situation, I often took little breaks, whether to take a walk, go to the gym, maybe go dance even for a little while, come back and try again, or often maybe even take a nap for an hour. When I came back, I would be a lot more refreshed, my brain would have kind of restarted itself, and I'd be able to look at the situation with a larger perspective. I'm actually kind of used to working in stressful situations, as before, when I was at University of Alberta, I had a full class load, which is 5 classes on top of often 3 labs, which were each 3 hours per week. So that totaled almost 8 classes. I also did, like I said, dance. I often had to exec the classes, so that would be another 3 hours per week. I did TA training, which is another 3 hours. I still went to church. I still played accompaniment for my worship team. So I was often kind of gotten used to working under stressful situations and circumstances, but that doesn't mean that I haven't learned coping mechanisms for handling stress. Number 10, technical or job-related questions. What would you do if you were handling a difficult child? During training at Boys and Girls Club, they taught us different methods of dealing with children who were in stressful or misbehaving. Often we took the child apart from the rest of the group. One of the staff would be managing the rest of the group, and then one of the staff would be working with the difficult child. We had a 5-ladder system in which the child would rate their emotions based on the ladder, whether they were angry, sad, frustrated, happy, neutral. And then they would try themselves to find coping mechanisms to relieve themselves of their anger or how to deal with it. I often thought this was a great method because it taught children how to deal with their own situations, and if something ever arises again, that they be able to repeat those procedures on their own and learn that they are able to think and be independent. It builds a little bit of self-awareness and emotional awareness too. What do you know about programs or equipment? I have a lot of experience working with technology. The ones that I think are most common and most relevant to me is probably Google Apps and Microsoft applications. I'm very familiar with using Google Docs and sharing information, how the privacy works, making sure everybody gets the information. I have a lot of experience working with Microsoft, whether it be Word, PowerPoint. I've taken technology system classes on Excel and Microsoft Outlook. I know how to use Dropbox, iCloud, and a lot of other different kind of storage sites online. I also know how to use a lot of stats software, as I did a lot of data processing in lab. I'm a quick learner and I love working with technology, so this is definitely something that one of my greater strengths. So thank you guys for listening to my interview. And thank you so much. I hope these questions help you, and salutations!